Hello, everyone. This is community call number 14. I'm Prateek. I look after marketing at Covalent. Uh, and the community calls basically we talk about like different updates from what's happening. June, July, both were crazy months. The team was in New York City. We did NFT NYC, ETH New York. Ganesh was traveling to India and Dubai, had a bunch of meetings across the continent, and he's back now. And we also indexed Kronos, one of the biggest partners of ours, and we went live with that update. And we have a bunch of updates to talk about, but I'll leave it up to Ganesh to cover the macro environments and other updates. So Ganesh, over to you.
Thanks, Prateek. So we're, if there's no doubt here, we are squarely in a bear market, and it almost feels like it's coming home. And this is the environment that we are most comfortable in, where there's not a lot of resources and builders will persist. So this is not our first time in this kind of environment. While other teams are running scattered because of runway issues, because of team morale issues, we have continued to build and will continue to build. I believe the only way out of this bear market, out of this funk, is to build, and show the next billion use cases. And that is what Covalent stands for, and we'll continue to do that. On the traction side, some of the things have been amazing, but I'm going to give it off to my colleague Gurjot, who's going to share on a macro perspective what's going on. At the end of the day, what Covalent can do is limited by what's happening in the macro backdrop. And if you look back on what happened in the tech industry over the past couple of decades, 1999, 2000 was probably the big tech crash. That's when the internet bubble collapsed. And some of the best companies were built back then. In 2004, there was a big IPO, and this company had invested in infrastructure during that internet bear bubble. And that company is what we know as Google today. So I think this is an opportunity, and in a twisted way, we should be grateful for this bear market, because this is the best time for companies like Covalent, which are resilient, to shine and see the other side in a very, very strong foothold. So over to you, Gurjot. Let's see what's happening in the broader macro with crypto and other kinds of things.
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Ganesh. Can you guys see my screen too as well, right here? Two graphs. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So Ganesh, yeah, you said it best. We are in a bear market, and what we've had the opportunity here to do at the research team is kind of explore how that bear market looks. And as you would see, when we looked at the NFT traction or NFT transactions that are happening on the market currently, the median sale price of an NFT has dropped about 75%. And that's kind of what we expected over time. But I think there's a very big positive note here. And you can see that more when you look at the average monthly price of an NFT. We compare these two metrics. The average monthly price of an NFT has actually increased about 63%. So what that says to me when there's such a giant skew is that there's projects here that are still delivering value, and the market's paying a large amount for that value in the market. So this defied my expectations, and it's kind of going against the grain where we would see everything plummet usually, but the market is still telling us that there are valuable projects in the space that people are still willing to spend money on, even though it may not be not as much. Sorry, yeah, but with that, I think even though there is a bear market, there's still a good reason for hope. Actually, a very, very good reason for hope, because the prices are still reflecting that there's value in the market and there's money to be made and there's more progress to be made in the future. So that's what we've kind of uncovered in the past couple of weeks here. We'll go back to you.
Thanks, Gurjot. Maybe you should also talk about the source of the data and where this has come from.
Yeah, so the research team in particular, in Covalent, we've had honestly the privilege to work on something with NFTs that I don't think we have seen in the market before. It's kind of a cross-chain database where we will be able to, where we have decoded about 40 plus markets so far, and we're continuing to decode more markets and insert all the sales that have ever happened on them into one singular data source. So look, I don't know the exact plan, but I'm pretty sure that will be available pretty soon here. But that is something very, very exciting to look forward to.
Thanks. What's next on the agenda, Pratik?
Next, we head to Harish to talk about hackathons, what's happening around that. There are a bunch of them we are doing right now, a few planned for the next month as well. Harish, why don't you take it over?
Awesome, thanks, Pratik. And I'll actually start by talking a little bit about what we've sort of accomplished to date, because there was a CoinList article that went out earlier today. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at it, it's linked from our Twitter feed. But since the token the token sale last year, we've done 40 hackathons, which is more than 3 a month. And that kind of talks a little bit about our focus on developer engagement and being able to incentivize and provide the resources for the developer community to grow. This year alone, we've participated in 20 developer events, and I was just taking a look at the numbers. We awarded almost $100,000 in prizes. So needless to say, regardless of what's happening in the marketplace, it's never been a better time to get involved in sort of building your skill set, in learning about how to use the Covalent API and taking part in some of these hackathons. Currently, HackFS with ETH Global is underway. We have more coming up over the summer with our partners Gitcoin and Code Club. There's a proposal out for a joint hackathon with Evmos. And then some of the other developer-related activities that we have going on. Tomorrow, there's a Twitter Spaces session with Moonbeam at 4 p.m. UTC. And next week, we've got a developer workshop with Kronos. As mentioned, Kronos is one of the latest chains that we've had indexed, and that is happening on Wednesday at 1 p.m. The primary Alchemist quest, that we're supporting right now, called Meetup in a Box, managed by my colleague Shatnu, we're actually ramping that up quite significantly. So, if you're interested in hosting local Web3 meetups and building your network, learning, sign up. We provide content, funding, and other resources, and enable you to focus on running your event. So do get involved if you're interested. It's a great time to be running these local events and building up your skill set. I'd say those are the primary things. We've also got a Web3 resources page set up on our GitHub, so please take a look at that. Try out some of the sample code templates and applications that we've built there. We're continuing to add content there, and love to get your feedback as well as any contributions from the community. There's a lot of really good stuff listed over there. So that's a quick snapshot. Looking forward to seeing members of the community here participating in our upcoming events.
Thanks, Harish. Ganesh, do you have any questions, follow-up thoughts on the hackathons?
So it's pretty interesting with developers, right? Covalent itself started a hackathon, and this is our primary channel how we engage with developers. And there's now an increasing focus on live events too. And what was incredible to see in ETH New York last month is that there's a lot more Web2 developers showing up to these Web3 events. So this has gone from just a, oh yeah, this is interesting, Bitcoin prices are interesting, to actual use cases across DeFi, GameFi, now with social media, with the Lens protocol, and Covalent, projects like Covalent, which are part of the core infrastructure, enables that transition.
Yeah, definitely. Let's head to the next set of updates. We have Melton, who will be covering events that we are going to in the month of August. Melton, over to you.
Yeah, so August is actually jam-packed, mostly because the team has a retreat smack in the middle of August. So we are going to just some events around our retreat. So beginning of August, we have Ganesh and Daniel at Korea Blockchain Week. Ganesh will be speaking there, and then they will rush back so that we can kind of let our hair down and enjoy our time at the retreat off of our screens, which will be really nice. And then right after that is Stanford Blockchain Conference in California. So I don't know if anyone will be at that. That's a super technical one. And then we are ramping up. I know this is not in August, but mainnet will be our big one in September. So there might be some friendly faces there, and we'll have a booth. So August is fully jam-packed before mainnet. And that's all from my end.
Awesome. Thank you, Melton. All right. Ganesh, do you want to follow up on that? You are attending Korea Blockchain Week. I think you're also speaking there. Is there a message that you want to convey to the community?
Not really. I'm going to be espousing the value of Covalent and the data, as I always do from day one.
Awesome. All right. Let's head to the Q&A section. We don't have a lot of questions today. There is one from Nick talking about when CQT token will be presented on different chains except ETH. Ganesh, you want to answer that question?
Sure. So the primary blocker here is the availability of Nomad, which is our bridging partner. So the way CQT works is that it's an ERC20 token that is settled on Ethereum. That's the home base. But currently, it's also available on Moonbeam as a synthetic representation. And this is done via Nomad, who is a optimistic bridge that transfers these representation on Moonbeam. Now, we'll go where Nomad is going. So it's a question of figuring out what is the demand for the token on that side, whether there's a block specimen, whether there is some kind of liquidity mining program, whether there is a DEX that's required for this, and then essentially bridging CQT over to the other blockchains. So the next couple of blockchains where we intend to move CQT over are Polygon and Avalanche. And of course, all of the Ethereum extensions, which would be Arbitrum and Optimism, are fair game. But it comes down to timing and comes down to availability of Nomad.
Great. There's another question about Starknet. What about Starknet? You decide to work with them?
Great question. So I just got off a call with them about a week ago. And one of the challenges with Starkware is that it's not an EVM chain. And so far, we've tried to work with them on what is known as StarkX, which are sovereign blockchains. And that's where DYDX and Immutable and Diversify have their blockchains. Now, that's a bespoke blockchain, and it's a lot of work for an indexer like Covalent to work with a standalone blockchain. Now, what is interesting is Starknet is where they're having these app chains scaling out. And so there, we're trying to figure out what is the right approach for us to work with this chain. Now, if you look at the broader ecosystem, essentially EVM has won. And if you look at Polygon or Avalanche or Binance Smart Chain or any of the rollups like Optimism or ZK Sync or Arbitrum, they're all EVM. So EVM, for better or worse, has won this round of the race. And so if someone is not EVM, what ends up happening is they build an EVM equivalence layer underneath. So what Starkware has done is build a Cairo to Solidity transpiler so that you can deploy your Solidity codes on Starkware. Now, none of this is actually production grade yet. So it's still early days and the apps are not live yet. So we would love to work with the team there. It's very compelling technology and definitely pushes the state of the art. Now it just comes down to a question of resourcing and a question of interest from the broader community.
Awesome. I see there was a question about how to get started in learning about APIs. I see Harish has already answered that. We have a bunch of resources. Harish, with the team, I mean, like regularly they do like different workshops, tutorials, and we have ourselves present at different conferences talking about that. Harish, maybe do you want to talk about that and then just guide people as to what can be the starting point for most of these people?
Yeah, for sure. So with the links that I shared, the API reference is one of the best ways to get started, because you can actually try the API endpoints directly in your browser. We've also got demo wallet addresses and contract addresses, so you don't actually have to go find any of that stuff. You can try it with very low friction. The other resources there, one being our knowledge base. So this is where we've got detailed information about the networks that we support. We've got some developer tools. We've got some project showcases. You can see what people have been building with us. All that content is on the knowledge base. And the other link I shared there is the GitHub Web3 resources. So this consists of anything sort of code-based. It's got links to templates. So if you want to build a wallet, a price tracker, if you want to build a DEX dashboard, all of that is provided to you in templated form. You just fork it and you can actually run it right away. And then there's also some additional resources like React components if you want to pull that into your app, or even some Python notebooks, code alongs as they're called, so that you can sort of follow along without actually really knowing much about the underlying details and understand some of the broader themes about Web3.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Harish. There's one question about how can we get CQT. So CQT is available on different like centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, SushiSwap, Uniswap. So yeah, it's pretty easy to get CQT from these exchanges if you want to use it for different purposes. All right, I think we're done with questions. I don't see any more questions here. I mean, this was pretty quick today. Ganesh, any parting thoughts, final thoughts before we conclude?
There's no change to the agenda. Let's keep building as we have for the past couple of years.
Absolutely. So that's it, guys. Thank you for attending the call. We will be back next month with more updates, and stay tuned and take care.
Thanks, guys.